Where do you see the sort of post-election optimism most intact? What trends do you see as being the strongest?
Well, intact is a very strong word. I think where investors have seen that there's a story that they can understand and extrapolate has been in the equity market. And I think that there, till now, it's been relatively robust because the view has been, look, if Trump is, he can deregulate with his pen and his phone, the way, reversing what Obama was doing, probably broadly good for equity markets. And they've kind of bought into that. I think the fiscal story, which was dominant November, December into January, that's kind of disappeared. And it's taken the dollar story with it. And the other story that's kind of interesting, but I think under-examined, is that the rest of the world continues to do well. Everyone thinks that, every day that China's going to fall over, and yet it continues to be relatively robust. Europe is relatively robust. So I think that we're going to come to a point where we begin to focus more on what's happening outside of the U.S.
Ooh, and speaking of that, I want to show you a chart of emerging market currency index and an the MSEM stocks index as well. Look at that. This was a day of U's and N's, as I said, and here we've got an N. That rise was on the weaker US data because risk assets went woohoo, particularly in EM, as you can see, and obviously then we came off as Yellen spoke. Steve, when you look at a chart like that, EM getting all excited about data that suggests lower for longer for the Fed. Is there opportunity here, or do we start to get a bit worried again about risk assets?
Well, I think the EM side, if you actually think that the risks are higher than Chairman Yellen was laying out, that EM does look attractive because it will mean that the program that the Fed has outlined of tightening both on the short end, tightening at the long end with balance sheet reduction is unlikely to be attained. Plus, some of the growth abroad is exogenous.
Right.
It's not just the Fed. It's the fact that you've seen changes of government in certain places, and yes, and exactly, and things have turned out to be stronger than we would have expected, 6 months ago or a year ago.
Has EM gotten extended though?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Not yet.